Okay, so there's a lot of content I have prepared because there's always a lot of things happening. And I want to start first with what is the wave themes. So remember, a wave is always from a release October to March. There will be minor releases, and in those minor releases we will see also more functionality coming through. I combined a little bit of what we have seen in 2023. That means the Wave 1, which is also internally called version 22, and the release in Wave 2 now, which came in October, which is release 23. And there will also be content of the version 23.1, which is just that November version we had. So there's things fresh out of the press. And I give you also a glimpse later on what is coming in December and a little bit further down this wave. So the big topic, of course, Microsoft, every second word for Microsoft is Copilot these days. So we have generative AI now in ERP as well. Microsoft claims that's the first ERP system who actually gets it, and also the first CRM system when we look at customer engagement. So Copilot is just a marketing name for Microsoft for everything which is artificial intelligence. So it's not just limited to the latest large language models we've seen, like the ChatGPT style of AI. It also includes the machine learning and other things. And of course, we will have a look on the generative AI and how an ERP system can actually handle it, because those models are good with language, but not necessarily good with numbers. And how could this help us? So we had marketing text, which I show you, which was released in April and is now general available. And the bank reconciliation came now into preview in this month, and I have a demo for this as well. So we saw a lot of things in the reporting world. I think a key highlight was the analysis mode, which we have on list pages, which has been further enhanced and is out of preview now. It was limited to a certain amount of records. Now it's unlimited, and it's a full in-memory analysis of your data. So we saw a bit more changes to Excel layout, which I presented last year in my webinar. So there's a bit more changes to that. So I'm not going to demo that and just mention it. We have cross-environment consolidation. There's not really much to show other than if you have multiple production environments, you can now consolidate your companies across production environments as well. What I do think is worth showing is statistical accounts and a little bit more around that, because that is something which we haven't had, and misused often accounts for that purpose. And of course, we have a lot in the work smarter area with a lot of funds and supply chain capabilities. That is really hard to pick the ones which is maybe of interest of everyone in the audience. So therefore, I choose some highlights there, but there's so much more which has been released in those areas too, together with the productivity features which every user would experience. And and I want to show you also the mobile app, which is new, a newer version, and it also supports barcode scanning. So therefore, I want to show you what it can and maybe what it can't do on that. So like last year, there is a release planner. I want to highlight that, where you have a QR code on the top right, which you could scan as well to open up that URL. So experiencedynamics.com release plans. You can then go on the left-hand side on the menu and choose Business Central or any other application in the Dynamics 365 or Power Platform area. Then you see what has been planned, what is coming soon, what you can try now. So it's impossible for me to show you all the features which have come through. I went through them and thought, okay, I choose all the ones which I can fit in this 1.5 hours. So I should be through 1 hour 15 if I'm talking fast enough. So it gives us 15 minutes at the end for Q&A. This time we want to record the Q&A. Last time we didn't. So for everyone who has to go, they might be really interested in the questions others had and the replies. So we keep on going all the way through of the recording. So before we start actually going on the app itself, I want to highlight just one slide in the platform and what is technically changed behind it. So I promise I'm not getting too technical, but I think there should be things you should know about it. So the platform has had a change from a .NET versions point of view. So it has been completely converted to a .NET Core, which is the latest one. So Business Central is definitely now on the latest technology from all the others. Even Microsoft software have, so therefore they're on the forefront of that, and which gave us a faster runtime. So there's significant improvements just by moving from an old .NET 4 to a .NET Core now. So that makes a lot of things slimmer. So you should see things a lot of snippier in going forward from that version. So we also have a new data model for table extensions. So again, you might think you're not affected on this because something happens behind the scenes. So if an extension is extending an existing table, we have a companion table, as we call them, and we have many companion tables if there's many extensions extending that same table. So this will fall away and we will only have a single companion tables with all the extra fields from all the extensions. So if you're an on-prem customer and you will upgrade to version 23, so the October version, then it has an effect if you have anything accessing your SQL tables directly. That could be data load. Often what we did is we made a facade with a view, so therefore that is not affected, but we would need to touch that view because now the tables have been from spread it around, moved into only two, the base table and the companion table. So, and that makes also a lot of things faster because the join are limited and therefore it's become very fast now if there were many extensions extending a single table. And what came also into this version is the way Microsoft handles the SaaS implementation. Maybe need to explain a little bit further on this. A regional data center is usually 3 data centers by themselves. So we in Australia and New Zealand are hosted in Australia East. That is a region. That means we have 3 individual data centers where the software is hosted. Within this data center, you have the production database and always 3 replicate databases as a mirror of the production database. Nothing to do with the sandboxes, which are separate. So but the production database has basically 3 backup copies live. And we make use of those copies when we read data with reports or query objects. And that becomes also quite interesting now when we look into the new analysis mode. So, okay, what could happen is if one data center goes down, then completely and entirely, so then Microsoft would have an issue if everything is only installed in one data center. So what happened now is Microsoft decided that Business Central is replicated also to another data center within the same region. So if there's a complete total failure of one, we will move and seamlessly to the next data center. So it's a complete copy on that. So it's an extra redundancy on that. I think those are the lessons learned from the recent overheating issue we had in the data center in Sydney. So, and I think there was an incident in the UK as well. So therefore, Microsoft decided to do that. So our customers weren't much affected on this. In the CE space, not at all. In the BC space, we had a few customers on that. So, but that is, I think, is good news sharing to say that this is even more redundant now and going forward. Okay, that's all from the platform point of view I want to share. Now we're going into start with user interface improvements, things everyone is probably affected with. And I will start with a very, very small thing, but a very, very good thing. So I really, really love it. So, and it's quite handy to use. So, which is the drop down, show details. So, well, you got to show this because it's probably hard to explain. So let's swap over to Business Central. So within Business Central, I go into a sales invoice, and here I just choose randomly one and then go on a line. So if you do this drop down now, then you always have the select from full list. But now you have the show details button, which opens up in this case directly the item card. So this is very handy when you're on any kind of record and you want to see what is the details on this card, and it works everywhere. Wherever you see it, you want to go from a location code to a location card or wherever it is. So that's a very useful thing. And you will see this during my further demos. I will make use of that. So a very small but very effective thing. So, and how is Microsoft deciding to do this? Based on feedback from the users. And I will show that in my very last slide to encourage you to go in and share your ideas or the issues you're facing. Even if it's just small things like usability, then it gets enough vote. Microsoft is really listening and implement those things based on that feedback. What a lot of people probably waited for is the ability to add more fields, table fields on pages. You can only at the moment, when you personalize your page, add fields which a developer has considered as a possible choice to add to the page, or somebody has hidden a field before. So, but you couldn't add another field which was on the table available, but wasn't part of the page. So you had to come to a partner like us and ask, can you just please add those as a page extension to the page? So now this is possible to do. It's not possible from a personalization point of view. You go and have to start from a role. So let's have a look how that looks like. So log in again, Business Central. I go to a profile or a role, and here's a list of them. And I go to the sales relationship manager. See this button, customize pages, which you click, which will open up another page in your browser, another tab, and then you are actually in now customization, personalization mode. You can move, hide, or open click the pages as before. So you should be very familiar with that. So what I want to show you is on a customer card. Now, when we add a field, we get a much richer list of fields with the ability also to set filters of what you want to see, pages which are made available at, or fields which are available on the table. So you see also the type of the field when you hover over it. And if I just scroll down here, you see quite a lot of fields in there in total. So let's add some fields here. I want to add the, let's use shipped not invoiced. So you drag and drop the field over to the side. So that's nothing new. So that's what you could do before, but now it saves to the role directly. Of course, you can go and hide a field like cost. I want to remove that. And I think what is new now is that you can also, like credit limit, log editing. So you see the field, but the user belongs to this role cannot edit this field anymore. I think that is a very good feature to do. And once you close it, it saves this automatically behind the role. So we don't have to do an export, import, or anything like that. So it saves it right away. And once you just refresh your page and you have that role center, it's active. So starting from the profile, right? Don't try to do this direct as personalization. So you have to have the permission to administrate roles. You can see all the fields and can add them. You can do the add, hide, move around things as before. And remember now you can also log edit fields so that users cannot edit the content of that field then. Moving over to the next feature, which is the search company data feature, which was in preview before in April, is now public available. That means you have it automatically switched on. If you see a feature and you haven't got it, then you need to look at the feature management page and enable those. It has to be an admin of your organization to do that. So what is Search Company doing? It's probably best when I show you as well. So I go into the tell me, which is Alt Q or clicking on the magnifier glass. Now I type in yellow, for example. So I know there is no page with the name yellow, but you see there's now a search company data option. And when I click onto it, it uses this term and searches in my data across the company. So I find items, which has the word yellow in there, and I can click on it and go to the item card. I see a posted sales invoice line, click on it, opens the entire posted sales invoice. And you also see with the show all results, there is always a selection. So this is per role as well, and you can activate or deactivate tables you want to include into it. So I use the sales command line now. So I close it, go back to my tell me, type yellow, and you see now that it has searched, come on, in the comment list. And here we go is my comment about which I put in there. So very flexible in the way you can set up in which tables actually it should search in it. So this is again role-based, so you should want to make sure that you do this only for the tables a person should read. Of course, you need to get the right balance of how many tables you include in the search, because the more you do, the longer it will take to search as well. So therefore, make a good selection about what is useful. It shows you sample records of each of the types first, where you have an option to say show all if you want to drill into more. And yeah, it's easy to add and remove tables into your search yourself. Another thing which is, I'm not sure, probably more advanced users use is the page inspection. There's another feature, or two features. I want to show you one of them and mention the other one just quickly and briefly. So if you would go into, let's go to the item card now. And it might be that you're looking for a certain field, and you know it is somewhere, but I can't find it. It's one of those tabs, and of course we have show more and show less and all those options, so it might take you a while, but you know it's definitely there. So you can use your page inspection, always use Control Alt F1 to do that, and you search for this field, and if you click on it, it now jumps right away to where this field actually is on your page. So that's quite useful now to find it. There is another Explore page in Visual Studio Code action, which is more useful to us, or even to a function consultant. So you might have an issue of entering a value somewhere, you get an error message, and you think, why on earth do I get an error message now? What happened? So there's a validation happening behind this field, which stops you to continue. Microsoft has a great emphasis now to enhance the error messages to make them more meaningful, even come up with suggestions if something is not set up, for example. But often you want to see what happens actually behind the scenes. So if you now click on a field and then say Explore page in Visual Studio Code, it actually downloads all the code for us, and you can see right away this is what is happening. Of course, you need to be able to read some code. So this is what I'm saying, quite useful for us to help quicker what's actually happening behind the scenes. Another thing mentioned is when you are working like me and having a lot of tabs open of Business Central, and I use Shift Control K often. So you log into the first Business Central, and you know I'm going to have three more tabs open, because there's two tricks. One is Shift Control K to open more tabs, and also I'm using the Edge browser. You can also set up little groups and collections. So it's also quite useful, where you can go and it just opens up already the pages you normally use anyway. So we get a more prescriptive text about what is actually shown on the page. So you don't have to click around and see, oh, was it the customer card or the sales order? So you see it right away on the top. And also when you then copy a link, which you can do from here with the copy link, you will see when you paste it into Teams, for example, or anywhere in an email, then it's also a bit more prescriptive now what it actually shows on that. So that's a good improvement. So now let's have a look on finance improvements. So the first thing I want to show you is statistical accounts. Statistical accounts are numerical, non-financial accounts which you can set up, which have the same concept of entries and have the ability to see net changes and balances at a date similar to what we have as entries, because you can have entries behind it. So, and why would you do this? Because you can use those information, statistical information, then in your normal finance reporting. So I made an example. So I go first and open up the statistical accounts. And you can set up as many as you want to. You see I have employees and office space. You could have been tonnages or packs or whatever is a common denominator you use in your business. You see we have entries. We can set up dimensions as we normally have on any master data if you need certain dimension codes. You see then also the entries behind it. You see it can also be negative if you have, and you basically maintain a balance, and you see I've got 3 employees more or 5 employees less in 1 month. What I do now, I just go and copy this from a journal in here. It's a one-side journal. You only have to maintain that. You register, and now we have for the month registered the additional employees you had in those departments. So now, if you use the Excel importer from us, you can actually import that with the Excel importer now as well. So we go in the finance report, show you where to do this in revenue per employee. Change it to March to see a bit more data and hide those options. You see I've put in the number of employees, and you can see in the current period and the previous period, the balance has changed. And now I can use it with the revenue per employee by going into the row definition and have a new option here, statistical account, and can make use of this by choosing the right statistic, maybe apply even a filter of which dimension I want to use, and then make a formula, take row 15 divided by row 20, and here we go, we got my revenue per employee set. So yeah, so you don't need to misuse any account anymore and use the quantity field in the journal, so you can use that. So non-financial, numerical, analysis and reporting. It's also supported in the analysis views, not just in the financial reporting, or as it used to be called, account schedules. You can use it here as well. So now the statistical accounts become also quite useful in the next feature, which is fixed and variable GL allocations. So we actually have 3 options here. We have fixed allocations, which I have defined up front, a variable allocation, which is depending on something else. For example, statistical information like the number of employees per department, or the office square meters you have per department, or whatever measures you want to use. And the third option is inherit from parent. So it's a very cryptic name probably, but it's quite useful when you say, I don't want to set up a fixed allocation, or when I say fixed, an allocation for a certain scenario, but I want to post against a GL account and make use of a split. So I'll show you all 3 options now. So the best thing I think for me was to choose the purchase invoice, but you will see it can be used in different places as well, like sales and general journals. So I may quickly make an invoice. I put in an invoice number. And now on the line level, you will see there is a new option, which is called allocation account. And if you choose this, then you can go and choose in the number field the allocation accounts I have set up. So I use the first one, which is rent by department, which is my fixed one. Put a quantity of 1,000, so that's easy to reconcile. Now, if I go now and would post it, I make this in preview, post preview, then you see I get 7 entries, and I'm focusing on the office rent, which is my account. Let's filter on this. You see, I have now a split per department, and my $1,000 have been split by the certain amounts based on the setup I defined behind this allocation. So let's have a look on this, and here we go, show details. Told you I love it. You go straight to the cart, and you see it's a fixed account type, and you put in the shares you can have, which works out the percentage. And you can then also define on the different lines the dimensions you want to use for that share. I use the same account number here all the way through, but it doesn't have to be. So it was just for me to show where maybe you post something in one account, you want to split it with 3 dimensions, but you could split it also to different accounts if you want to. Second option is the variable one. So same thing, quantity 1000. Let's make the preview. And you'll see again 7 entries, but filter office rent, it's at different amounts this time. So why different amounts? Because now it came from a different source, the split. It's not fixed. Let's have a look again. Rent, show details. And you see now I'm taking the split from a statistical account based on the employees and the balance at the date for and filter according to it. So give me the balance of admin, production, sales departments, and use this as the shares to split the amount. So the last option is now when I want to use an allocation and I want to use the inherit option. So I use a GL account, and this time I want to use office supplies, different account, quantity 1, again my $1,000. And I do want to have this office supply split. So based on an allocation account, so I can choose the allocation account number here and use this last one, split by office space, and go again into the preview. And you'll see again my 7 entries because I have my 3 departments. It uses the account I've used in my line and make my split based on the allocation rules of that. So how did it split this again? Using the statistical account again, but let's have a look on this setup. See, office space is my statistical account for variable. I can choose fixed if I want to. Inherit from parent means take the GL account from the line you came from. Choose the statistical account, and then whatever filter you want to use, balance, net change, and so on. Right, so that's the use of allocation accounts, which I find also quite useful. Let's summarize this. I showed you this in a purchase invoice, so it can work in purchase documents. So we're talking about quotes, orders, invoices, credit memos. The same in sales documents, quotes, orders, credit memos, in general journals, in recurring journals, and also it works with deferrals. So if I would have taken my $1,000 and would say, make me a deferral and split it to 10 months, and I have a split with allocation accounts of my 3 departments, it would make me 30 entries already to split this. So we saw the 3 types we have of by the fixed, variable, inherit from parent. The last 2, we can use statistical accounts as a base. We don't have to. We can also make them fixed. And what I haven't shown you is that when you even on the line, on the purchase invoice line, you have a line option where you can change the allocation right there. So even if it's a fixed one and it would be used, you can override the fixed allocation right there and also test the allocation there to see what the amounts would be and then use it for that line and then go and post it. So now let's move over to a next bracket, which is the reporting capabilities. I just want to mention here and not show how the Excel layout report has been enhanced further. So I made a demonstration last year about how you can use Excel layouts based on a normal report. So now what happens if the report has different data sets, then those data sets can be used in Excel to be combined with Power Pivot. So you make a relationship. So in my case here, I have a value entries table, items and customers. I link them together and can have a data model and use this data model now further in my Excel sheet to work on other things I want to do, like pivot tables, graphs, etc. So it works the same way as before, other than you can have more data sets. Having different data sets and the flexibility in report is still something you need in AL developer. AL is the development language behind Business Central. So we need to make a report if you want to have a specific report for that and want to use the Excel layout. But I'll show you, I think the world changes a bit from make me a report to more make me a query. And I'll show you that with the analyze mode. So this is, I found this quite astonishing feature we got this in April. It was not switched on automatically. You had to go to the feature management to enable it. And now it's enabled by default with version 23 because it's fully available. In April, it was also limited to 100,000 records. Now there's no limitation anymore. So that means you can load all the data into it and then slice and dice them. Okay, how does it look like? So if I go even to any list page, items, entries, I can, of course, change my view here and add fields. So now I'm adding only as personalization the fields I have available for my in this page. So I use category and replenishment system. There we go. So that's what you could do so far. You add 2 more fields. You can apply your filters. So nothing new here. So of course, having filters and save those saved filters as a view is a good thing to get a kind of a report already. But what we do now is you have also the analyze mode toggle on the top left. So it swaps now the list completely into an in-memory reporting tool. And the first thing you can see 184 rows. That's often the first question people have, or I often have, how many rows do we have here, which are filtered on. Now I can see on the right-hand side all the other fields, which I can drag into. If I wanted to, into this field, I see some fields like inventories and everything, which is a calculated field I can drill in. You see there's the max and min option as well. So I can change the things. I can apply further filters in here. It's a bit more easier, those filters, because now I have more options to do. I want everything which is not 0. That means has inventory. You can see with the and or, you can have a more combined filter set. And I can swap this also into a pivot mode, so which allows me to go and drag in more rows and columns. So for example, the item category, something I want to drag and drop into the rows. And I can see how many records I have in brackets behind it. And I can, for example, use the descriptions second. And now I can open up my notes, expand them, and see that I have 6 chairs in my inventory and the names of it. So if I want to, I can put something into columns here. In this case, everything is a replenishment purchase. But if it would be a replenishment production, for example, then you would see that, or assembly orders. So you can save and rename those views. So give this a name. And you can have as many views you want to. So I could duplicate one and then maybe slightly change this one because I don't want to do all the things again. So for example, I take this column off and use maybe, is it an assembly bomb or not? And now change my view a bit on that, maybe add another column in there. I want to see what is packs, what is pieces, and open that up again. And of course, I should rename this because I've given that a better name now. Let's quickly do that. So if you have a colleague who's interested in the same view, you just can copy that link and send it via Teams, for example, and then it will open up the same view in your colleague's page. You can export with right click on and in CSV or Excel as well. So that's pretty good. So now let's think about what could be a good use case. So the first thing is you can toggle between them backwards and forwards. So you can always come back to it. It's not lost. So here in the list, If I come back, it has my screens, and you can of course delete them as well if you want to. Now let's go to something more meaningful, and I want to go to the item ledger entries and want to see a report of expired goods. I have lot tracking items, and I want to see, did they expire? When will they expire? And ideally also, where are those goods? So now I use item ledger entries. I add more fields to it. For example, I could do that before. So that's one way, the way you have done it in the old way. I just do this just to so that you get the comparison, expiration date and the lot. And next, I could filter now with normal to see what expires. But we want to have a sum of it. So we want to know entities which have a remaining quantity. So first of all, I want to limit this list to all the ones which have an item tracking of lot tracking. So it doesn't make sense to show more. So let's make a general filter. The less I load into memory, the faster the things will go as well. So that's the first limitation I'm doing, getting more. You see, I only have some sample records. Go straight to my pivot mode. I take off all the other sums here because I'm interested only in the remaining quantity, because that's what is left in my inventory. So, and the first thing I'll go is now interested in my expiration date. You see, a date is actually automatically split from date to year, quarter, and months. So I'm going to make use of that by using the year and the months first, and choose then my item number. And also want to know now what the expiration date is, the exact date. So I drag that one as well into it. So now I can have a look how it looks like to me. So now in 2023, there is already, at least in September, one date, but I want to actually see the item first. So let's move that around. So move the item up. And then from the item, I want to see all the expiration dates in that month. That is easier to see. Okay, yeah, this is the item. And there's one lot which has now expired with a quantity of 3. In November, it's going to be 15. And in December and January, etc., I have more data. I only had used one item for now for my demo here, but you can see how it is useful. But now I want to see where they are. So I drop in the location and the columns. And now I know that actually the 3 expired ones sitting in my main location. And I change this because it's quite useful. Analyze it now. I want to come back to, and it of course refreshes automatically with live data. All right, so to summarize it, I can have multiple views with different data. I can share my link to a colleague. I can export this data in CSV and Excel if I want to use it. Users do require system permission. So if you do have users you don't want them to do this analysis mode for whatever reason, then you just basically take off the data analysis exec permission set. We as AL developers can go also on specific pages and turn it off. Because in some pages, which are a list page, it doesn't make sense to have them because their purpose is a bit different. And now what we saw before is now we have item ledger entry tables, which is a list of based on one table. So what is new now that we cannot, queries are not new, we use them already often in APIs and also in reports, in also to make our development things faster. So now we can define queries, and a query is basically a join with other tables. So similar to what you saw in the Excel spreadsheet I showed you with the item ledger entry, and want to also get my customers and my items in. Why? Because I need other fields from those tables in my reports, because maybe I only have a code in the entry, but I want the description or want the city's sales rep default, whatever it might be, other information I can now combine into a query. And a query can be run now from an action menu in a page. So we make you a new action, open that query. It shows you that in a page as a list with all the columns we have defined in that query. So, and then you can go and toggle again analysis mode and then make your analysis based on this data set, which is then not just one table, but many tables. So there are some limitations on queries and what we can do and so on. It needs to be leading tables. We can do multiple joins to it, but we can't do unions and those things. So therefore, but it's a very good way of combining data together into one place to analyze it. So that's brand new now in this version. And again, you do need AL development in order to make a query. So can't wait for the time where there will be a query builder made from Microsoft where a user could actually go in and do this themselves. That doesn't exist at the moment, so but it doesn't take us a long time usually to do a query. We just have to be very careful to know what are the fields we want and also the filters we want to apply perhaps. Okay, so changing to a different topic is legislation and localization. We usually don't see much happening in Australia and New Zealand for us in this space. There are a few things happened, but what I picked up is here is e-documents, which is a topic I think is in everyone's mind. You see, Microsoft calls it e-documents and not e-invoicing because we not just want it necessarily for invoices only. So Microsoft built another extension app, as they often do now, adding more functionality with extra apps to handle e-documents in general for the entire world. And that includes sales invoices and credit memos, purchase invoice, credit memos. It does also include sales orders and purchase orders. What it doesn't do yet is any kind of reconciliation of a purchase invoice to a purchase order, or better, to a receipt. So that's functionality they do want to work on and the things that come. So they do have a bit of pressure. And the reason for that is, well, there are already countries which enforced it. So Australia and New Zealand didn't enforce it yet. So let's say we don't have to use it yet, or we like to use it, and the government organizations are pushed to use it. So you probably have already, if you deal with government organizations, the request that, hey, can you send us please an invoice as an e-invoice? And so New Zealand and Australia choose the PEPAL model, and not every country does that when it comes to e-documents. So PEPAL is a European format which has been used for a long time now, and it comes out with some small dialects. And that's quite important to understand in this when it comes to selecting an access point supplier, because as long as you deal with customers and vendors in Australia and New Zealand, we're all the same. That's good. But if you go and have to send out an invoice, for example, to Singapore, they might not have PEPAL. They might not have exactly the same PEPAL format. They might be sitting on an older version of PEPAL where we are going to be on 2.1, and some people might be still on 2.0. So you see there's version differences. So, but that is the work of an endpoint organization. So in order to understand that better, I'll show you another diagram. I only wanted to point out here that Australia does have an enforcement date, which is July 2025. So still a bit to go, but we have a date in Australia. We don't have a date yet in New Zealand. At least I couldn't find one. I wouldn't be surprised if it would be the same date, because it would make sense. So that means by that time, every one of us has to do e-invoicing. So what are the benefits of doing that? Before I move to the model is, or sending an e-invoice, you could think doesn't help me much, because it doesn't, if I send a PDF email out at the moment, that's the same thing. It goes out and it's fine. But governance organizations have promised now, if you send something in e-invoicing, they pay within 10 days. So that can have a good impact on your cash flow of sending e-invoicing and sending that out. Of course, the really big benefit for all of us would be if the purchase invoice coming in to us will come electronically, because then we don't have to deal with OCR scanning and template mappings and those kind of things anymore. So therefore it comes in already in a structured way and form. So how does PEPAL works? So from the EDI point of view, we already have electronic documents which you send, and you could have I'll take my laser pointer, a sender and a receiver. That often is a point-to-point model, or we call it the two-corner model. We have only a sender and a receiver in place. Sometimes we see also a three-corner model where we send it as a sender, maybe directly to a provider, an EDI provider, who then goes in and reformats the file and puts it then into the ERP system of the receiver. And PEPAL always works in the four-corner model. I mean, every one organization has to have their own access point and to send, and also, of course, then to receive. And the access points know where to go because every organization will be registered in a PEPAL register, and therefore knows then also which format you have used. So therefore the transformation can happen then on the site. So we're sending it in our format. It might be get transformed into the receiver's format because it's sitting in a different country, and the receiver can then go and receive that back in. So in the BC point of view, same thing. That's how I just described it, which is happening. So there could be a little caveat for New Zealand and Australia, where it's very likely that also an acknowledgement message has to be sent back by the receiver. So when you send an email out at the moment with your invoice, you never hear anything back other than somebody sends you another email back or calls you. Here in the space of the e-documents, everything comes into like an inbox as well. So it can be accepted by the receiver. It can also be rejected. So if it has been accepted and processed, this is where we talk about getting that receiving part back in so that we know it has been posted. So there is still, although there's a lot of automation in place, there will be also a monitoring from you as a user in place where you have to watch, did all my invoices have been sent correctly? Did we have the right receiver? And so on and so on. So therefore, there's a little bit to monitor as well and go forward until it's probably everyone has it somehow and things work fine. So, but of course, if somebody says, look, you sent the invoice to the wrong party here, that's not us, then of course you would get a rejection. You have to deal with that. So now I talked a lot about this access point things. You do have to be a certified access point provider in our countries. As in New Zealand, you have to go to MB and be certified for this. There's a list of certified organizations. Often they come from origin from EDI business, where they had EDI networks running to do with those infrastructure, and they offer those services now as well. So we have looked around and have partnered or are in the. I hoped I could have said we are a partner, but the ink is not dry yet on it. So, but I hope in a week or two we will be able to say, look, we are fully now partnered. We already finalized our partner contracts. So with Pagero is a Swedish company, but they're worldwide operating, and this is where, so with the countries, you do want to have an operator which is really covering a lot of countries so that we don't run into issues of sending a document to someone. So they already had a head start with an app before Microsoft built their own. We can include Microsoft apps and link it to the Pagero service, or we can also use the Pagero app right now, which was available in Australia since I talked to them last week as well. They made it available now in New Zealand. So the app is now available in New Zealand as well. It's only outbound for now. So we could send sales invoices out. We cannot receive purchase invoices. And I saw already the inbound app from them. They hope to get it done before Christmas, but this doesn't look like it. It's going to be more in February. But I'm thinking also as we can interchange the apps and we can use the Microsoft app instead, which is also inbound, we might want to use that and and use Pagero as the guys to integrate with. So quite important. That means we make a partnership with them, and if you sign up for it, we do have to go through a quoting process. There is unfortunately not just a simple price to say what cost me a document. There is some stand-up cost initially. There's a annually subscription for this, and there is a price per document you send. I found this a bit maybe complicated for it, so I took one example which we did for one of our customers, put this all together into cost and divided it by the anticipated amount of documents. So you end up by maybe 95 cents per document at this moment, versus it's going to be more cheaper the more you have volume, and then the price will drop. So at the moment, this is the price you were looking at, probably. Well, if it helps you with your cash flow, probably almost $1 per document to get maybe a huge amount from a government institution quicker might be good. But again, the real time saver would be for the inbound. So this is all happening right now where we speak. So I know some of you are really keen on getting onto it. So yeah, I hope that we can also get some of you already implemented before Christmas ourselves, using VC, of course. Also interested because we do have government institutions, so we will be one of the guinea pigs right away to use Pagero. So what is it what you have to change once we put the app in and hooked it all up? Not much, because we're using the Microsoft app and Pagero using the document sending profile. So we're moving it actually from email to Pagero, and that's it. The next invoice will be sent out automatically via an e-document. So, of course, there's some more queues and stuff to monitor this, but from a changeover point of view, that's all what you have to do then. And you see this Pagero option came automatically in while I download the app. Right, now, Copilot. That's, of course, the buzzword and everything around artificial intelligence and innovation. So Microsoft did give us early on a preview option in April, which is called the marketing text suggestions. I'm not sure if everyone has seen it, so I will demo it now. And you see how a large language module can actually help on building something. So this was the first off the ranks example. You might find it not maybe as practical for the most people, but the second one certainly will, which is a bank reconciliation, which every one of us has to do. So I'll show you first the concept of it, how it has been built into Business Central based on this, and then I'll show you the second example of the bank reconciliations in that. Right, so the idea is that we have marketing text for items, and if we have an integration to Shopify, for example, then we do want to have a description which we actually want to show on the website in Shopify. So here we have no marketing text at the moment, and you see it's crafted based on the item attribute. So this item has quite a lot of attributes, and of course the more you have, the more input you give to the language model to use this information, like it's wood, solid oak, it's black, we have a mountable cable trunk included. This is all this information we would send off to the language model and say, can you please give me a nice marketing text which I can put on my website? So if you click on this, you choose then the different types of tone. I want an upbeat, I want only the paragraph, and I just want to have maybe elegance because it's important for the table. So you can choose a little bit of what should be generated. And here we go, it crafted for me a complete text, like, you know, probably from ChatGPT, of using the information I've provided in it, which of course is a text you can change. So I could go and also format it. You see it's a rich text formatting tool, which we have now everywhere where we have bigger text. And then I can just go and keep it. Keep it means is always important, is if it's not kept, it's all temporary until you press keep it. So this is how the concept works everywhere. There will be a prompt, you will get something back, and you will have a discard button to ignore it. You will have a keep it button to use it. So that's the same concept that will be used. So this is how our marketing text has been implemented already in April. At that stage, it was not open for us as developers to do anything else with it. So that has changed. Now, the next thing is probably more or something which you think really use in it. Again, I was also thinking an ERP full of numbers, how can a language model help me? But also language models getting better with it, because they say, look, let's use Excel for everything with numbers, and I just give instructions and formulas because I'm good at that, and then get the result from Excel back. So that is something new happening also in the labs these days as well. So therefore, watch the space on that. So let's have a look on the bank reconciliation. So it's really hot off the press. So I set up a little example on this because it just came out a week ago, even 4 days. So therefore, I updated that in my environment here. So bank recon, I have a bank, and you see I've got a button now, reconcile with Copilot. So I choose multiple bank accounts which I can do reconciliation for. I import my file, nothing new. So, but if I import the file now, it goes and analyzes the file together with my bank ledger entries, which are still open and waiting for reconciliation. So you see I get 3 lines have been already auto-matched in the old way, because you see the Canon group was also something I saw on the left Canon group in my bank statement lines. So the normal matching worked for the 3, but you see there is a proper T. I missed the T here, and Canberra. So on purpose, I just did something which is not matching, and then I have 2 extra lines which don't even have payment lines for a bank charge and some fuel costs which came in here. So, but Copilot was able to match further 2 of them. So it realized that this property is probably the property you're looking for. So, and then I can drill into it and say, yeah, double check if that is what I want. And it also saw that this Canberra one is probably that outstanding Canberra Postmaster one. I can delete the line, I can restart the rest, or I can say keep it. In my case, I want to keep it because I think it did a good job and helped me matching it. So now I have all the right-hand side lines already done. So of course I have 2 new lines for my statement, which I didn't expect, bank charges and some fuel costs. So I mark them and I have another option, transfer to GL account. So I wanted to suggest GL accounts where I want to post the payment for me and then match it. So I did find 2 matches and it could help me. The first one, it says, look, I do want to post it to the GL account 1010, which is the bank. Are you happy with this? If not, I can change a different one. And here, the station, that station fuel, it actually found gasoline and motor oil for me. So it's not the string it found in there, but it knows the semantics, and therefore, so that is the best way. I can then go and even save this into my text to account mapping. That's always what we had. So next time I don't need to even a Copilot, because I can use this text to find my right account. I say I keep it, and now I've done this, and I could just go ahead and post it. So now I did another thing here where I have a difference, so therefore I need to sort that out first in order to post it. But what I wanted to show you is are the 2 things where Copilot can now help me with more semantic matching of finding the right entries for me and make suggestions, and automatically here posted the payments on the right hand side for me. So this is already posted, and then matched it already against my bank statement lines. So I think this is a very useful thing. And yeah, Microsoft looking for more and more ideas from all of us to see what else could we do. So, okay, bank accounts, it's in preview still, has been released, or it can be used. Because it's in preview, you need to activate it in the feature management. So if you go to the feature management page, you have to say, okay, I activate it. You see the matching proposals of what is used to do with using semantic matching, and also the transfer to GL account functionality, which comes with it. So now with this version also, Microsoft allows us to do AI development in our AL language. So, and I already started doing this by playing around. I wanted to generate some item substitutions. So I have an item, I need to maintain substitute items, and say, why don't you suggest me items for me, please? And start playing with that. And the important piece I want to show you only is probably when you played with ChatGPT as well, it is quite important how you ask the questions and the help. You see, I want to only have a small prompt where you use the item description, and then I want to pass it on to the model and tell me what what the data is and the suggestions are. But you see, I have to add a bit more text to it. So like the user will provide an item description, a list of other items, your task is to find items that can be substituted, blah, 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 blah. So this is what we call the prompt. And this is a little bit of an art and a science to get this prompt right to get the desired outcome. So, and that is what we have to do behind the scenes, but we have full availability to build anything like this bank statement or bank reconciliation now for you. If you have a certain point where you see, I have this data, I have something really, I could have an assistant here and want to build something, then we are able to do this now. So Copilot and the capabilities, you might think, yeah, this is all good, but necessarily I don't want all of that. So how can I control this better? And I show you another page now, which is when you go to the tell me, do you see there is a Copilot page, which lists now all the apps, any apps which comes in with the Copilot capabilities. So you see in default, we have the it tells you also which data center you are. So if you see you're in the right data center, Azure Open AI Service is in the same data center like you are, you will see a different text here. In my demo environment, it is in a different one. It tells you also, well, are you happy that we allow your data to be moved to an Azure service which is not in your region? So that's the first thing you have to do. And then the second piece is you see all the products which are in preview, like the bank reconciliation, which you have to have active if you want to. By default it is. And you can deactivate that feature, and you see everything which is generally available. That means you don't have to do this via feature management, and you can also go and say, I do want to activate this as well. There is no extra cost for this. All the usage of it to use the features is already covered in your license. When we do build something else on top of it, well, then we do need to have an open AI subscription, and we can choose different models, have different prices. So, but there will be fractions of cent for every time we call it. So there will be a cost if we build something custom. Right, let's move over to the mobile app and barcode scanning. So we have a new version, which is version 4 of the mobile app, which now also supports multiple new features. First of all, we have a tell me option, so we can actually search for pages. The company search I showed you right in the beginning is something which is available on the mobile app as well. When I say mobile app, it's always phone and tablet, and barcode scanner. And we can also now support worksheet pages, which are a bit more complicated pages. Some of this only works really good on the tablet because you do need this real estate, and therefore you might see still on the mobile phone that certain pages are still not supported because of the real estate. So therefore swap over to a tablet and you will see they're working fine there. So you do need to have minimum standards of operating systems. It works in the cloud and for on-premise. For this, what I'm going to show you, you do need to have version 2023 Wave 2, i.e. version, the October version, which is also internally called version 23. All right, so barcode scanning is new and exciting. So we have now this natively in the app, and also we can use it as AL developers to build something with it. So you see there is now the option when we have to enter a text, a little icon here, which is the barcode option. So that means we only have to declare this for this field, and then as soon as you click on this, the camera is activated. So it works with the camera of your phone or tablet. And there is another option when it comes to Android scanners, because you can on Android tablets and phones also use an Android barcode scanner, which is linked to that tablet in order to use this information. So it doesn't work on iOS. I mean, it's on Apple iPhones or iPads. Okay, so what barcode types are supported? Pretty much all the ones we would use on a daily basis. Of course, everyone knows 2D barcodes or QR codes. We're using a lot of data metrics for everything around GS1, which entails a lot of information. That is something which is not supported out of the box in order to you can read the barcode, but when you get a long string, what are you doing with it? So does it give you the JIT, the expiration date, and the lot number? Yes, but there is no logic at this stage in standard BC to do and handle that. Of course, we could do something with it, with this text, and then build this logic in there, but it can at least scan those barcodes. And often we use a code 39 or code 128. So they're all supported here. You see there's only a few which are not supported on the iPhone or iPads. So now let's have a look how it actually works in action. Just give me a tick to. So first I'm starting in the Business Central. I want to show you also some new features which have been added when it comes to reports and label printing. So I made a new coffee bean pack item, and you see I've got the JITN filled out, 51698, blah, 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 and I want to now print a label with actually that JITN. So this is a Word layout behind this report. So I made this quickly as a 1D barcode and on the right a 2D barcode, so it can show both cases. And also the same reporting option is available when we go to item tracking entries, i.e. lot numbers or serial numbers. So for example, I want to print a label for 2 different lots. I want to use my demo here. So this is lot number 1, or 84 at the end, and I print another one, 85, which I already have done. So again, 1D and 2D barcodes. So in order to do something with it, I have 2 lots, number 5 and 3. I want to use number 3 first. That means that lot 85. Scan this on purpose first, and then it's going to 84 second. And that's for that I make quickly a sales order, or I've prepared a sales order already for this coffee beans. And I just use the sales order to make a very simple case. So usually would probably have a pick and all of this kind of stuff, but I'm showing you this just on the sales order in the location blue. I haven't got even bins set up, which I could do, but here I just want to go and have to provide now lot numbers for this 5 quantities I pick. So I swap over to the tablet. So, and I use my mouse pointer as well here. So you can scroll down, up and down. It's the same rule set as before on the tablet, it's nothing new. So if I click now on the 3 buttons here on the top, I see 2 new options, which is the item inquiry and item bin content inquiry. So you see item inquiry first. It comes up with a barcode. I click on the barcode image here and opens my camera. And now I can swap over to my barcode. That's one I scan. And I scan the left one first, and then use the right one for the second option. So it opens up right away the item card, and I get all my information on my tablet about this item. I can scroll backwards and forwards. So, and then I go out of this page again, close this page here, go back to my 3 dots, scroll down, and choose my item bin content inquiry. Same thing, this time, same barcode. I scan the 2D barcode on the right. And so I toggle between those different screens. You can see what I'm scanning, but here is the locations where this item is also stored on a bin code. And now I know where this is. So, okay. And yeah, so you see I'm using bin codes for silver. I didn't use bin codes for the blue location. So let's close that, close that. Now let's use the new feature of the tell me. where I go and look for sales order. And I click on the sales order here, choose my sales order, go on my lines here, which gives me my menu. Scroll down to item tracking lines, click on them. And now there's a familiar screen where you have to provide the lot number, choose it with the assist button, or I can use the scan button now to scan it. But I don't do that now because there's another option here with 3 dots of a multiple scan. So because I have 2 scans to do in the sequence, and I don't want to come back to it, so I use the scan multiple. And get this already. And this is what I want to scan. So, okay, let's do this first one. So it asks me what do you want to scan, lot number. Click yes. Get my first one. And you see, I don't do anything else. I get the camera right away. Just swap behind the scenes my screen, get my second one, and now it tells me that I scanned everything. And I used the first 3, and I know the second one had 5 left, and used the first 2 of it to do this. So therefore, there's some built-in functionality now in the app to help. I think this is more like an appetizer to showcase what you can do. Microsoft is probably, I'm sure, building more for us, but we as AL developers can now choose this functionality as well and build specific scenarios ourselves now, because what they have built is exactly what we can build now. And having also things like this multiple scan options are very good when you have, think about 5 serial numbers you have to scan. You don't want to just scan and confirm, you just keep on scanning. And it's actually very quick in the identification of the camera and the barcodes. There's nothing where you have to hold the tablet for a long time or so. It's very, very spontaneous. So to summarize that, we have the label report in Word layout, which you can slice and dice and make a change as you want to, and bring information of that item. It does handle this 1D and 2D barcode scanning. We have the multiple scan option, and as I said, we are fully supported in any development we can do and want to do. So what is coming soon is things happening in the Power Platform. So I know I need to speed up a bit from the time point of view. So we have business events happening now from December onwards. That means we can now raise events in BC, which allow us to subscribe to in the Dataverse and Power Automate world. So before we had this only as updates and deletes and creations. Now we can do something like a sales order has been released, which is rather an event from a business point of view, rather than a data record event where a new record has been created, updated, or deleted. So we have a few events coming in. We can build our own business events as well, and can use them in the Power Platform. The Business Central virtual tables are now fully supported in Dataverse. They're out of preview. We already have used them in projects before to have tables in there, but this combination with that next feature is really, really good, because now Power Pages, which is a portal, or Power Apps portal, as it used to call, is now be able to work with Dataverse virtual tables. And now where Business Central has virtual tables, we wouldn't even need to replicate data from BC to Dataverse anymore to use it. So let me just illustrate that in a graph here. So we do have data synchronization things where we have an account which becomes, for example, a customer or vendor. In order to do that, we have to go in BC and make what we call a proxy table, a representation of that table on the other side, and then we have a scheduled job, which is moving data backwards and forwards. And that's good because we need the data on both sides. So then we had this webhooks, which is if something happens, a create, an update, or delete of a table, then we could make use of this. Even on a virtual table we have exposed, we can then see, a new record has been created. Let's kick off something else in the Power Apps world, Power Platform world like a Power Automate. We can fully write back everything in this. A virtual table is represented by API page. So that means we often have to do first the API page to design it, but then you can choose it as a virtual table in here. We can have relationships between those tables, so they appear as normal tables. And as they appear as normal tables, I can now use my Power Pages to make use of this. And I'll show you that in a demo. So I have three scenarios which I'm going to show you. So Power Pages as a website, a portal, can of course be accessed by an anonymous user who is not logged in, someone external, a normal visitor to your website on this Power Pages. So there's unlicensed and they will not log in to your portal. So, but we still can show them Business Central data. That means that's a good thing. You don't need a license for it to see data. Of course, you need to have Power Page licenses, and I'm not going into the details how Power Pages is being licensed. Just to mention, for anonymous users here, it's the number of page counts you have, and for authenticated users who log in, it's the number of sessions you have per month of a user. So the second scenario is I have an authenticated external user, like a customer, who registers first to my portal, signs in, and then can do more with it. And I want to do a sales order there. And then I have an authenticated user, an internal user, one of your employees, who has a license for Business Central and goes in and doesn't log into Business Central, but also to the portal to do things in there. And yeah, and there's always fine print about what is external, internal, what is allowed and not allowed. I'm not going into that right now. All right. Here is a Power Page demo website I have. I have two sites. I'm going into the demo site on the bottom here, and it's a default template. So the look and feel is how it comes out of the box. Of course, you can change the whole look and feel and images and behavior. So I'll go on the pages and go on items, and you see it just loads now data directly from Business Central through my virtual tables. There's nothing I have to replicate to the portal. It's a live lookup to the items there. Second scenario, I go as an external user and want to register to this website. I'll type in my email and username and password and register. So there's a standard behavior now where it asks me for filling out a profile, which I also have to do quickly. You can decide what you want to show here, what has compulsory fields and information, because this will be used to create a new contact in Dataverse. And this is also the other option to send out invites of your contacts and then have them redeeming a code to log in if you don't want any other users to log in. You see, we can see the items as before, nothing new. But now when I go to the pages and sales orders, I get the sales order screen. I see no orders at the moment because I'm a new customer, and I create a new sales order here. Again, you see there's nothing fancy in terms of the look and feel. It's just the standard forms I'm using just to show more that I can bring the data into the portal quite quickly. Choose my quantity, submit it. I only do one line now, just for the purpose. And I could, of course, create another line. And so that's it. I have my line in here. So now I want to use the next option, which is a log out and log in as a authenticated user. Now I'm not using password, I'm using Azure ID, which you can also do for external users with an Azure B2C integration. So if they have their own Microsoft account, we can make them use. I see all the sales orders here. Also the one which has been just created, the demo customer 4. I can look into this order. And because I'm an authenticated internal user, I see now a bit more. I see also a ship and invoice button. So I could still make some changes to it, but in this case here, I just want to go and say ship and invoice. Of course, very easy scenario. There's no pick and nothing. It's just I go and ship an invoice and post directly from the sales order. And that is just to show you a quick process of it. But what happens now is that the posting actually happened on Business Central right away. We call this a bound action, which we execute. And of course, the sales order will be now deleted once it's completely posted. So I refresh my page and the sales order is deleted because it's now created as an invoice. I log out again, log in back as my previous customer user. I should see now that the sales order is gone because it's been posted. Yep. And I go over to my pages and I can see now my invoices and I see that my invoice is there. And see, this is all data directly from Business Central through virtual tables to the Power Pages. So yeah, I was waiting a long time for this to come, and this will come now in December, so next month should it be available. Another thing what happen in the future is alignment of terminology. The word jobs will be replaced with project. So our job costing will become project accounting, and everywhere where you see the word job will be replaced with project. So there won't be any job planning lines anymore, or job tasks, will be project tasks and project planning lines. And this renaming will happen in March 2024. So some license changes I want to mention is we still have the Bridge to Cloud promotion, which I've scrolled through a bit quicker. The attached license is now have more attached licenses. I think this is pretty good because we can now slice and dice how we want it to be. An attached license is you have a Business Central license or a customer engagement license. And customer engagement can be sales, customer service, field service. And if you are a user and want to go in both systems with full user rights, then you don't have to buy full user license for both products anymore. You can use an attached license. The rule is that the more expensive one is the base, and then the cheaper one will become the attached license. You see this is always $20, 20 US dollars means actually $32.40 if you commit for a year, but monthly price. And if you want to have a month by month license, it's a $38.88. So for example, if I have Business Central Premium, I could get now a field service for another $32 on it. Well, it's quite unusual that we have this combination, premium and field service. It might happen. It might be more we have Business Essential and field service. And you see that's not listed here. Why? Because you need to choose the field service license, which is a more expensive one then, which we have here. And then you can have Business Central Essential as your attached license. So you pay for the more expensive one, take the other one, becomes the attached license, and you can do full user acceptance in there. So this has just happened now over the year, and you see the latest one happened now in September 23. So last thing, really, I want to show you before we go in the Q&A is something new from the labs. So it's a video recorded from the directions the conference have been to from center stage. So therefore, excuse and apologize for the pixeling, but I think it's a bit good thing to see what is the product team thinking, where the future can go together with Copilot within Business Central. So I play that video now. If it lets me play. Why is it not playing? I'm sorry for that. Oh, here we go. Now it works. Okay, Copilot, similar built-in. What is language model good for? To find something, to explain or summarize information, or guide you through a step-by-step. So that's the idea Microsoft has with this. And I think I'll just let you just watch what's happening here. We ask a question, and it gives you, for example, the last 3 quotes. You ask a further question, because Copilot knows also the rest of your data, like emails, and can tell you, yeah, when you send this quote to Robert 3 weeks ago, click on it, opens the sales quote, and you want to ask, have you certain product in stock under $600? and the system said, yep, I found one here, that's the one. So this is a kind of thinking where we get assistance from Copilot within Business Central. And I found that also quite inspiring. So the feedback, yeah, you can give me feedback and questions now. Not sure if there are any ones. Yeah, there's a few, and I know I'm a bit over time. So, but I suggest you go to the Business Central feedback page if you do have more ideas to it. And we go straight to the questions now. And I see, so what is the difference between Copilot bank rec matching and standard bank rec matching? Oh, there's more text to it. Seems to be just the same thing, except it's marked as being fancy because it's Copilot. No, not really. So, I mean, the auto matching is taking normal string matching. So you see it found my company name in the string of the bank statements, but as soon as I have a spelling mistake in there, it couldn't find it. So that is one thing to say where it finds something which sounds like it and suggest you mean this is probably what you mean, what you should match. And the second example was where I haven't had completely different words. My fuel doesn't show up in my GL accounts anywhere, but as their fuel probably matches best to the gasoline GL account. So therefore it makes me semantic matching. I see I could do 3 auto matching before, that's standard BC. The extra 2 came with Copilot. It helped me. Please, can you admit my colleagues? Not sure what that question means. Oh, admit my colleagues is probably for Gemma's couldn't join the session. Right. So, are there any further questions or feedback? I don't see anyone typing. Well, then I would say we actually have 3 minutes to go on this clock. So I can wait more. Did I miss anything, Gemma?
No, it was just that one question, although there is a slight delay. So there may be a couple of questions coming through. There's a new one now there, Joerg.
Will AL replace JET reports? Well, AL probably not directly, but what you see is with this Excel layout, it goes towards the ability to get your data set first and then make the layout on this. Of course, with JET, you're very flexible of what kind of data you want. You have extra Excel features and functions, and they're like the GL function, which you don't have anywhere. So what Microsoft is still thinking is, how do we can make it easier to put our data into data lakes and push it out and provide an easy way to combine the data with other data together. So Fabric is the term which is used there, and Microsoft is working on an integration with Fabric. This is a bit loose at the moment now. There's not really an announcement we can say and show. There are some options to go and push out data, which we do, either with a normal app this or with an app to export it to a data lake. But that is something Microsoft is rather working on to build more and more things within Business Central so that you don't necessarily need third-party products like JET. But of course, there's a reason why those ISV solutions are around for a long time and they evolve further as well. So the barcode level feature, can that replace our bartender automation? Well, I don't think the barcoding, I mean, the label printing and also the barcode scanning is not really as a core pro thing. So it wouldn't replace, for example, a bartender where you can make a good specific report. I think it's good for people who just have the odd barcode to print, you see, there's no automation there. I have to do things. Of course, I could develop something with automation, but it's so much easier to develop a good label barcode, the label in a barcode designer like Bartender. And secondly, also when it comes to the scanning side, like it wouldn't replace a task letter. So there is also other considerations you have, like yes, you can put a tablet, of course, in a rugged frame and so on, but battery lifetime is not as good as handheld computers. Distance from scanning is the camera here. So if you're on a forklift, you won't be able to scan anything which is 3-4 meters away. So you do need a proper pro equipment if you want to do pro things. But if it's something you do every now and then, or even you just have maybe stock on different places, or the odd way where you have to scan something, then I think that is a good way to get started with that. Question is, I find using deferrals is limiting the transaction description. Does allocation accounts have the same limitation? Good point. When the allocation account is more the definition of which accounts you want to post to. So therefore, it hasn't got an own description as such, other than describing what it is. But the real GL entries with the description you get come, of course, from the split. So I haven't tested it yet, so I'm not sure if there is an issue with that in terms of. But if there is an issue with the defaults, then we should actually report this and say, look, there's a mismatch of the length of description for it. Does Excel importer have instructions for adding statistical data, or do we need to wait for this? No, so the Excel importer version is already out in AppSource latest, which does support you importing your statistical journals. Because I think that is the only thing I've found is, yeah, you have a journal, but there is no like recurring journals. There's nothing like helping with a template to come every month or every week or whenever you want to do this to post it. So we saw there is a gap, and there instantly enhanced our Excel importer to help you using Excel files you already prepared or get from somewhere to import them into a statistical journal. So I think we only in the documentation put in so far in that we support this. It's the same way how we set up a template as the other journals you do. So therefore, but we will enhance our documentation on that. I think this is all the questions that we had, and we're now 3 minutes over. So I thank you very much for attending, and yeah, you can watch the video again and the recording if you missed something or it was too fast, and you can come back to that as well. Okay, thank you and have a good day.